Yo, what's good? My name's Kang the Kangaroo, and in this video, I'm going to be telling you the 5 things that I don't buy as a 25-year-old who has over a $400,000 net worth. Number 1 is drinking and drinking culture. Now, ever since I've graduated university, I've noticed myself not wanting to drink a ton anymore, and even going to events where other people are drinking, I'm not really inclined to have a drink, and I don't really feel like I need to have a drink to have fun. Now, don't get me wrong, the idea of drinking a nice cold beer on a hot summer's day just honestly hits the spot. But binge drinking and going out to the club is not something that I really like anymore, and for me personally, I think that's a lot to do with the negative side effects of alcohol. I think when I turned around 23, that's when the hangovers became unbearable, where it would just debilitate the next day. Now, I've had my own health problems related to drinking, which I won't get into in this video, but that further makes me want to drink less. Now, again, just to reiterate, I do enjoy that occasional beer on the patio or, that glass of wine with dinner, but aside from that, I have no draw to really drink alcohol that much anymore. Last year, I spent around $600 on alcohol, and I actually think this number is a bit inflated just because of how I was categorizing things last year in Mint. This year, in 2024, that number's been way, way, way down. But maybe if I moved to a new city and, had more motives to go to or whatever, I would start drinking more, but it's not going to be to the point where I'm slamming back beers like I did back in school. So this next category is also related to drinking, but not alcohol, but coffee. So coffee is another thing that I don't buy anymore, and I guess never have really bought at all. Now, I know the conventional advice around coffee is to just, make it at home. It'll be so much cheaper, but I'm here to debunk that a little bit. Now, this act of buying a $5 coffee or whatever every single day is not the singular thing that is making you broke and, limiting you from reaching your financial goals. Now, it could be a contributing factor, or in some cases, a very large contributing factor, but that $5 cup of coffee times 365 days a year is like $1,800. But spending that $1,800 a year on coffee is not going to compared to saving $300 a month in rent, or not having a car, or getting a raise at work. It's these bigger decisions that you're making, in my opinion, that are gonna move the needle the most. And it's those small convenience factors that you can dial in and dial out that are not gonna make that much of a difference, in my opinion. Now, if you're a bit more interested in this concept, you can check out some of Ramit Sethi's work. He talks a lot about this, where, you can dial up certain convenience factors and sacrifice in other areas in order to make your life more fulfilling for you. But to extend that, if you're a coffee person who really enjoys coffee, that $5 cup of coffee here and there is not actually gonna break the bank for you, and it's gonna bring you enough joy and enough happiness and convenience that it's probably worth it for you in the end. But on the other hand, if you're a person that just needs coffee every single day, then I don't see a reason why you should be spending that money when you could just plan ahead a little bit and make that coffee at home and bring it with you to work or whatever. Now, for me, the reason that I don't buy coffee out is not to save money, but it's just that I really dislike the taste of coffee. I don't like it at all. But the reason that I don't drink coffee is actually kind of a funny story. When I was younger, my mom would always, wake up and drink coffee every single day. She's literally one of those people, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee type of person. And she always said oh, don't drink coffee or you're gonna get addicted, right? And my mom slams back 2 coffees a day. And even though I did know that she was joking, I could see a little bit of truth in the way that she was actually slamming back those coffees. So I just never drank it. And I've never really needed the caffeine. And in those situations where, I'm doing an all-nighter during school or whatever, I would just take a caffeine pill and that would usually do the trick. But the biggest reason I don't drink coffee is that feeling that I get when I tell people that I don't drink coffee, and it makes me feel slightly better than them. Now, obviously that last part is a joke, but the question is, how am I able to basically function as an adult with a bunch of different things to do? Normally I try to get a lot of sleep within 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night, and if things do get bad, I usually have a little bit of tea, but it rarely gets to that point for me, to be honest. Now, this next thing that I don't buy or have not bought has probably saved me the most amount of money of everything else on this list, and is not having a car. Because of how car dominant most of North America is, not having a car is probably not reasonable for a lot of people that are watching. But in my opinion, if you have the opportunity to pay a premium and live in a walkable area or a walkable city, I think it's 100% worth it. Now, once you factor in how much money you save, the amount of steps that you probably get in, which is great for your health, the convenience of being able to walk everywhere, pretty sure there's a study out there that say that people that live in walkable cities are happier than people who don't. Not having a car and living in the walkable city and paying that premium is worth it. So earlier in the video when I was talking about the coffee, I said those big ticket purchases or those big ticket life decisions are the ones that's going to move the needle the most, and I think a car is a perfect example of that. A car is a very expensive liability. There's the cost of owning the car itself, whether this is saving for a down payment, which in that circumstance you have the loss of opportunity cost where you could have invested that money, or in the other circumstance where you're financing a car, that payment towards your interest is an irrecoverable loss. On top of that, there's insurance each month, gas each month, and car maintenance, which increases as the car gets older. So by me not having a car and using my, legs to walk around and public transit, biking, begging people for rides, I've probably saved well over $10,000 over the past 3 years living in Seattle. And I think that my guess of $10,000 is a very conservative guess. In reality, I probably saved way more, but let's just say 10K to make it easy. Now, I think if I committed to living in Seattle for, another couple of years, I would probably end up investing in a car, because I think that a lot of the things that you can do in Seattle really unlock once you have a car. But for now, my future plans are unclear. And while it does suck to shell out like, I don't know, 200 bucks every single time I want to rent a car, it is still much cheaper than not owning a car. But let's say for the sake of argument that I did want to get a car, how would I go about doing this? As much as this advice is kind of boring, I would do what most financial gurus say and buy a used good car. Something like a Honda, Toyota, Hyundai, or like a Kia or something like that. Actually, not a Kia. I've been seeing these Kia boy videos. I don't think Kias are safe anymore. With that being said, I'm really happy I don't own a car. Not that I suck at driving, but I really dislike driving. And if it were up to me, I would not own a car until I'm at least 30 years old. So we'll see if I end up doing that. Now, another reason why I'm really happy to live in such a walkable neighborhood brings me to the fourth thing that I don't buy, and this one is probably my most heated one. Now, this category has all to do with delivery service apps. Now, I know for a lot of people, these services are necessary, but if I'm being honest, I am shocked by the amount of people that use Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever, on a day-to-day basis. And maybe it's because I live in a walkable neighborhood where if I want to go get food at like 11 p.m., I can do that and walk 5 minutes and get food. But again, like, it's crazy to me that people are using this on a daily or even a weekly basis. And in my opinion, the whole entire industry surrounding food service apps is A, exploitive, and B, a house of cards waiting to fall because it's so unsustainable. Now, these food delivery apps basically rely on three people: the driver, the restaurant, and the person ordering. Each one of these people are getting rinsed in this whole entire situation. These restaurants are getting finessed because in order to list their food, they have to pay a fee, and because of that, they're obviously raising their prices. And then on the consumer side, you're getting rinsed because you're paying more than what the food actually is listed for at the restaurant, and on top of that, you're paying fees. And the third party involved, which is the driver, is also getting rinsed because they're not getting fairly compensated and have no benefits whatsoever. And to top it all off, these food delivery service companies are not even making any money. They're not profitable because this service model is broken and does not make any sense. Now, I think Seattle's pretty unique in this whole entire food delivery service because of what laws changed recently. So now Seattle is requiring these delivery apps to pay a service fee that goes directly towards the drivers, which I think is like $5, which honestly is great. These drivers deserve to get paid, but instead of taking it out of, Uber Eats' profit or DoorDash's profit, it's passing that cost onto the consumer, which drives down the demand for Uber Eats or whatever because the price is so ridiculous. So just as an example, I'm going to order like a Chipotle burrito bowl on Uber Eats just to show you what I mean. So we have here, I have a burrito bowl, protein or veggie. I have chicken, al pastor, beans, whatever, $12.50, which is more expensive than it is in store, first of all. I go to checkout. As you can see here, the subtotal $12, delivery fee $5.49, and taxes and other fees is another $12, which is crazy. Now, mind you, this Chipotle is a 10-minute walk from my house, and if I were to order the exact same thing in store or online for pickup, it'd be like $11, $10. So it's 3 times the cost. It's gotten to a point in Seattle where a guy named Tony has set up his own delivery service where he's basically delivering whatever you want for a $5 flat fee within a certain area. Now, this section might have been a little bit charged because of how much I truly dislike food delivery apps. Again, I understand for a lot of people, Uber Eats or delivery services are a necessity, but for the vast majority of people, I honestly think it's a bit silly. With that being said, I still do use these apps just through my credit card because my credit card gives me perks for it. But instead of doing delivery, I do all of my orders for pickup, which is still a tad bit more expensive than just going to the restaurant or going to the place and buying it, but it is what it is. Now, the last thing that I don't pay for or no longer pay for is streaming services and most subscription-based services. Now, I don't do Netflix, I don't do HBO Go, Amazon Video, or whatever. I don't do any of those things. Mostly because I don't watch a ton of TV, and if I do want to watch TV or a specific movie, I find a way, if you know what I mean. Recently, I've noticed there are so many things that I would rather do than watch TV. Between working, doing YouTube, going to the gym, and trying to kick my league addiction, I don't really find time to watch TV, and I don't really want to watch TV. Another thing I dislike is kind of how segmented and how full circle streaming services have become. In order to get a full catalog of things you actually want to watch, you have to have multiple services, which is kind of annoying. And the whole thing's kind of coming full circle. Like, it's almost like you would want to just buy a bundle of all the different streaming services, pay a certain fee, maybe watch a couple ads, and just make it basically like TV again. But that being said, I do pay for some subscription services. Number one is Spotify Family Plan. I think it's great. I listen to music pretty much every day, so 100% worth it. The other one I use pretty often is ChatGPT. For me, it's personally worth it. At work, for example, I use it to explain complicated code syntax to me, or use it to explain a complicated concept to me like I'm 5, and also to brainstorm YouTube video ideas and stuff like that. And the last recurring service that I pay for is this service to keep my Canadian phone number. And I guess if you want to count my phone bill and my gym membership, then I guess I can lump those in as well. I'm really curious about the type of things that you guys don't buy. Like, is it a moral standpoint kind of thing where you just kind of reject the idea of something like that, or do you not buy something and buy something else in order to save money? So let me know down in the comments. Now, I did say at the beginning of the video, these are things that I don't buy as someone who is 25 and has a net worth over $400,000. But if I'm being honest, these aren't really moving the needle in a meaningful way in order for me to grow that net worth, aside from maybe not owning a car. But if you're curious about what actually does matter and what are the things that I did in order to grow my net worth so fast, you can watch this video right here where I talk about that.